For Sunday, September 13th, you found the Georgia Gang. Topping our agenda today, the question of refugees. How many should Georgia take? There's a new paved road outside the governor's weekend house, and there certainly is a crime wave in the city of Atlanta. Some of the stories up for grabs on the Georgia Gang.
From the Fox 5 studios, the Georgia Gang starts now.
And we're glad you could be with us on this Sunday. We're in the middle of a cold front, nice cool fall air, a little bit early, I think, but still something to be celebrated and enjoyed. We're also on the weekend of the anniversary of 9/11. That was Friday that the attacks took place 14 years ago. So turning our attention to today, we have Governor Deal out front on an issue, and that's the issue of Syrian refugees, or not just Syrian refugees from all over the Middle East, from as far away as Afghanistan. And Phil, I know it's a key issue of yours. The governor has said before we've taken enough refugees in this case, and let's spread it out. Let's spread the bounty out across all 50 states.
Well, he did do that, in fact, just 2 years ago, and he was backed by the DeKalb County delegation, both Democrats and Republicans. That is one of the entry points for refugees in the United States is Clarkston and DeKalb County, along with several others around the country. And he said no more. And you may remember the mayor of Athens said we can't have any because 90% of them, according to the Center for Immigration Studies, after they're here for about a half a year, they go on welfare. It's a huge burden all over the country. And so there's two issues. There's the cost, and then there's the cultural issue. Do we want to have, and I don't know what the Obama administration is going to do as we tape, but how many do we want to have come in here when they cannot be vetted properly? That's what the assistant director of the FBI said.
Well, there is a vetting process, and there apparently are about 5,000 people waiting who have been vetted, who could be admitted to the United States.
Yeah, well, I think, Phil, Taryn, let me stick it right to you, because I think Phil missed a key point here. Bless your heart on immigration. You don't usually do that. I think there's a real question of national security here. We don't know whom we're admitting.
Well, that's right. The FBI said they can't vet these Syrians. They don't have the intelligence.
Well, let's go back for a second. So, one of the things that the governor should be commended on is that the state of Georgia pays their fair share, and they get about $1 million a year from the federal government in Georgia alone to make sure that there is a resettlement sufficiency plan for these refugees that mostly preside in Clarkston. But the other thing that we got to point out is that there's an 18 to 24 month process of vetting that goes on. And so, you know, knock on wood, but in the 35 years of having these refugees resettle in Clarkston, there's never been any type of terrorist attack. And even the incident in Minnesota, these were refugees that was actually trying to help the case there. So I think the first thing is that, you know, and I talked to Terry about this, you know, and he's very, very passionate about this, and he makes this into a sort of a humanitarian issue. But the other stat that's not really being talked about is a lot of these refugees, within the first 6 months of being in Georgia, specifically in Clarkston, have their kids enrolled in schools. I mean, they're working, and more importantly, they pay back the plane tickets that were purchased for them for coming over to Georgia.
Well, that's wonderful. And Ted Terry, the new mayor of Clarkston, said in counterpoint to Governor Deal, "Bring them on. We'll take all you can."
Well, there's also a money factor. There's a money factor here too.
Being a DeKalb resident, you can't merge all these immigrants and refugees into the schools without doing serious damage.
Well, you're right. In fact, the governor even said, you know, we can't put one group of refugees right next to another group that hate each other. I mean, these are cultural concerns, and I think the governor's right about that. And, you know, I think Jeff Dickerson once said there's about 250 languages in the DeKalb school system, which is a huge burden. I've always said, why can't we have other culturally attuned areas in the Mideast take a lot of these people?
Well, they already have.
No, they haven't.
No, they haven't.
The Gulf states have never done it.
Remember earlier on the show, remember last year, not this school year, but in DeKalb County, when Michael Thurman was the superintendent, there was a particular school which got a lot of credit in the press for being this sort of bilingual school that basically a majority of their students were refugees. So look, I think the state is prepared to deal with the influx.
No, it's not.
No,
that's wrong.
I think
you're
schools
wrong.
aren't.
The schools
can't handle
you
it.
talk to the teachers, they're being swamped.
But here's the thing: what needs to happen? Let's get Ted Terry, the mayor of Clarkston, and the governor and others in a room and with the superintendents, and let's figure out a way. But I think to come on this show and to kind of characterize them as sort of being this massive problem and sort of singling out Clarkston, I think is a little
Why do you think the governor wanted it limited? Why did the Democrats in DeKalb County want it limited? It is a problem.
But what the governor said, Phil, is that he wants to make sure, which I agree with him, that the screening is done properly. I'm just telling you that there's an 18 to 24 month process, and these refugees are paying back their costs.
We all know that, but do you not agree with the assistant director of the FBI that we cannot vet these Syrians properly?
Well, wait. First of all, let me change the subject. Alexis, I think I know what you meant, but the fact is, no Muslim nations are taking refugees from the Middle East.
That's not true.
Except for Lebanon and Jordan.
That's correct.
Okay.
They are.
But the
And
rich,
Turkey,
The
too,
Gulf states are not.
The rich
the
Gulf
Gulf states are not.
But
Kenya and Eastern Africa could take these. The United Nations.
they don't want to go there to Kenya.
Well,
Come on.
Well, you know
They
what?
want to go to Europe.
just
They
as
want the welfare
war-torn.
state.
You just hit it. You just hit it.
They want the welfare state.
No, they want to go where there's not any civil war
Look, this
going
is an
on.
invasion. Let's not
it is
talk
not
about
an invasion.
refugees, war. This is an invasion of poor people from Africa and the Middle East trying to get to the welfare states of Europe that United States military might has allowed those states to be created because they didn't have to tax their people. They didn't have to defend their people. They set out welfare. Angela Merkel in Germany is saying, bring them on because they have a declining labor force. She's actually looking for low-wage labor.
You've hit something.
my
I think that
goodness.
the Syrian situation, where the Obama administration has a total foreign policy failure,
There you go.
has
Oh dear,
caused this
this is
refugee
the total
Just
foreign
blame
policy.
everything.
This is the foreign policy failure of the Bush administration that went in and just disrupted
All right,
everything.
I'll tell you what. I'll
by
go with you
attacking
halfway.
Iraq.
There is some blame
Thank you
to
for
Bush. There is some
finally
blame.
coming halfway.
If you followed me over the years, I've never really liked
Just
the
blame
Iraq.
everything Obama all the time. It's Obama's
You've
fault
never
for everything.
followed me. I've always
follow
been a
you a
critic
lot,
of
Bill.
Bush.
Well,
I've been a
ISIS-
critic of the Bush foreign
ISIS
policy.
is
So
an
both
Obama.
are to blame.
Well,
There you go.
ISIS,
I think that's fair.
ISIS is an Obama problem.
but
It is.
But it's a Bush
It is.
creation.
No, that's
No, it
that's a
isn't.
myth.
Yes,
That's
it
a
is.
myth.
If we'd left
a myth.
troops
We had,
in Iraq,
we had
there wouldn't
defeated
be
Al
ISIS.
Qaeda in Iraq. If you look at your history,
it didn't even exist,
But
and
the
neither-
refugee, you're right. It is a huge problem in Europe, and we've got to face it. And I don't
It's just not
recall
a
ever
problem,
voting
Phil.
in the United States for
But we're-
bringing in masses of
But
Muslims.
we're talking about Georgia. We're talking about Clarkston. I mean,
Masses
let's
of
not
Muslims.
mix the two. You know, I mean,
Well, we're talking about every state in the United States. They're talking right now of upping the cap of Muslim refugees. You don't care, but this is a serious
I do care.
national
I
security
do care,
problem.
Phil, and that's why
Well,
I came
it's
to
an
the show.
invasion.
Facts.
And it can
It's
be
an invasion.
It can be managed and it can be handled. And the Muslim countries that you talk about have already taken more than 1 million, more than 2 million refugees. So
Only a few.
and 11 million people have been displaced since
And
the Civil
Saudi
War
Arabia,
started
how many have they
4 years
taken?
ago.
None. Oman.
We
none.
don't have the money. I know you think money
Abu
grows on
Dhabi,
trees.
none.
We don't have the
Well, money
money
can be
to do
printed.
this. You always say that, and that is so
Exactly.
wrong.
But it's so true.
Well, it's amazing, and I'm always thinking about that great novel, Camp of the Saints.
Right. It's coming true.
It's coming true.
I would
That's
urge viewers
exactly
to
right.
read Camp
That's
of the
why I
Saints.
think
My
this is
goodness.
an invasion. All right, we don't have, boy, that got out of hand.
That invasion happened in what was that, 1600, when the people from the Mayflower came over here? That's when the
Oh,
invasions
really?
first started.
Really? You don't like the founding of North America?
I'm just
Is
saying,
that that's
it depends
ridiculous.
on how you want to characterize it. The Indians certainly felt that way. The Native Americans who were already
No,
here.
actually, they sat down for Thanksgiving with them. They welcomed them.
And then they killed them.
What an invasion.
Okay.
No, not
And the Indians were
Massachusetts.
peaceful. Yeah, right.
Not at James River, Minnesota.
What happened with the
Virginia.
Trail of
All right,
Tears?
well, this didn't work out the way I planned it because we were supposed to do a lot more in that segment, but we're going to get to it. So, coming up, how about paving the road in front of my house? Pretty good deal if you're the governor. Stay with us.
Have a question or comment for the Georgia Gang? Visit their website at fox5atlanta.com.
Dale Terry of Fox 5's I-Team showed his chops again this week with a clean scoop on how a road to the governor's house in Demarest in Habersham County was paved with state funds. It was a gravel road, and apparently, according to Dale Russell's report, the head of the state patrol said, well, it's gravel, it's dangerous, we might not be able to get in there in the winter, so we're going to pave it. $92,000 of taxpayer money went to pave that road to a house that Governor Deal lives in on the weekends. There's no way for me to look at this. From a public safety standpoint, maybe it was the right thing to do. From a political standpoint, how stupid. It just doesn't pass the eye test. It doesn't. I mean, you're the governor, you're in this house on the weekend, and they're going to pave your driveway half-mile long?
Well, according to Dale Russell's report, it was on a list of public safety concerns that had been issued 2 years ago that they needed to address. And so there was a case to be made that they needed to do this for in case of emergency, where they needed to get to the governor or get things delivered to the governor if they had an emergency for removing themselves from the city. So there is a case that could be made, but they didn't do but that one thing on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's the governor, and it's political. Theron, you work with a lot of politicos.
Yeah.
It doesn't pass the eye test.
Well, a couple things on Dale's story that I think was sort of left out, and I think Dale did a good job of going and spending some time in Habersham County and really getting some good visuals. The first thing was I think that it never really totally captured what the response was from Habersham County. I've been told that the road that we're talking about is actually not a private road. It's not a private road. It's actually a county or a state road. That's number one. Number two, a source tells me that not only does the governor go there on weekends, and security actually stays there with him. And so he's, by allowing the security to stay at this house, is saving taxpayers money by not submitting reimbursements for hotel rooms. And then I've even also heard from a source that he actually pays for the state officers, state patrol meals as well. So I think, look, could it probably been handled a little differently? Absolutely. But at the same time, I mean, the governor's in a very tough position because he can't necessarily speak about protocol and procedures with the state patrol. But I think, stay tuned. There's a lot more to the story. But any time where you have taxpayers' dollars involved in doing something for an elected official, you want to make sure that it's
and it was the decision of Habersham County ultimately.
So if you look at the
But
story,
why couldn't the governor pay for it?
Well, he wanted to stay out of it. Actually, he said, I'm going to let the colonel of the state highway in Habersham County make a decision. Right. And I think there was some misinformation. There were reports that this was his driveway. That was not true.
Yeah, I've heard from sources that it's not a private
Yeah.
road. It's actually a county or state road. I'm not sure.
I think it's county.
No,
Yeah.
no. The optics are rough.
Okay. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you, Phil.
Eye test,
If he were in a re-election campaign, you can see the commercials right now, but of course the governor's term limited. Let's turn to, on that general subject of ethics, the State Ethics Committee Chairman in the State House, Joe Wilkinson, I think it's your state representative, right?
That's right.
Has been warning legislators on these reimbursements for mileage and the like, and for their optical conflicts of interest.
Well, yes, what you're talking about was just this past week, you had a bipartisan subcommittee of Representative Wilkinson's committee issue a strong warning to Representative Mike Glanton. And
He's from Clayton County.
That's right. And what happened, I've got to phrase this properly, the school system, the Atlanta public school system felt that he was strong-arming them in a series of emails by saying what committees he was on and his position in the legislature, so his own company could get a profit. Now that's bad, and that's why they had to speak out. A letter went out to everybody. The reason he wasn't, it's against the state law to try to use your public office for personal gain. It didn't go that far, according to Chairman Wilkinson. The charge was made by William Perry, who was the outgoing Common Cause chairman.
A guy so far left that he couldn't keep his job with Common Cause, because they wanted to go even farther
He was
left.
trying to keep his job, but it was a very sloppy charge. He made the charge based on a newspaper article, and so they really didn't have a smoking gun.
All right.
Right.
Let's turn to the city.
And further, Representative Glanton did say that he did not intend to do that. That he apologized for making that mistake of
But
putting
that was
in an
pretty
email.
weak.
The correspondence
after he was exposed.
Well,
The
but
correspondence evidence that I saw from
didn't.
Representative
And this was
Glanton.
not the first time he tried to pull this stunt.
Right, but he didn't deny that that's what was happening.
Hey, I'm the host of a TV show, do business with me or I'll call you names on TV. That's basically what Glanton did, trying to get business with the school board. I mean, we wouldn't do that.
And to their credit, the school board told him to take
Would
a
you?
hike.
Okay.
The school board told him to take a hike.
All right, I think we've got time to do this. I think this week was really troubling in the city of Atlanta. The city of Atlanta is booming, doing well, all these things. Jeff Dickerson loves to rave about the Beltline and all that. When you have 69 car break-ins in 2 nights, now that nobody died, nobody was hurt, but what an inconvenience. 69 car break-ins
Including
in
a
2
classic
nights,
Rolls
Phil?
Royce.
Well, I've talked to some police on the ground in Midtown and in Buckhead and Atlanta, and you've got a crime wave. And one of the troubling things, I'm going to write about this for Insider Advantage, is the way it's reported. I had a couple police sources telling me, 28 cars were smashed in Buckhead. That's counted as one crime, not 28 crimes, because they're all in one apartment complex. That's wrong. And I don't like the way the counting goes on. But anyhow, I think that the mayor and the police chief are going to have to crack down harder.
Well, there certainly needs to be something done because that's just not acceptable to have that many cars broken into in one short period of time.
And by the way, this is not limited to Atlanta. Suburban police chiefs say that there's an organized gang that might be in Dunwoody one day, Smyrna the next day, Buckhead the next
That's true.
day.
They travel all around Metro Atlanta, these gangs.
Great point, Dick. And I was going to make that point. That, I mean, look, this is definitely terrible and it shouldn't happen. But this is nothing but organized gang activity that is going on not just in the city of Atlanta, but it's going on all across the state of Georgia. And I think that the chief and the mayor are going to definitely come out and do something about
Well,
this.
they did make 3 arrests
Right.
late in the week, and maybe that breaks it down and gives them access to the rest of the gang.
Right.
But they are able to strike quickly.
Correct.
On the subject of MARTA, we've been very praiseworthy here. In fact, some people called me and said, you guys praise Keith Parker, the general manager of MARTA, all the time, and I think we do, rightfully.
Right.
But the story this week that 1 in 3 MARTA employees is out sick every day. 1 in 3.
Yeah, quote unquote.
Costing them $13.6 million a year. I know it's a combination of federal policy, misguided as always, and unions. But 1 in 3, really?
Well,
Alexis, come on.
Well, that is a high number for sure, but I also think this is, again, a credit to Keith Parker for determining that this is happening because this was an audit that he ordered be done for the system. And so I think he is continuing to get high marks for doing this and working to resolve this as an issue.
And this one incident cannot just put this negative stigma on this great job that Keith Parker is doing at MARTA. And Alexis
I'm not
exactly
saying
right.
that.
The other thing that they did that I thought was very smart is that they're actually securing an outside vendor. I mean, it's an RFP right now out to basically look at this. And this is something that also that he inherited. So I think that they're getting to the bottom of the problem, and it's full transparency as usual with MARTA. And I think we'll, get some.
He's tackling one issue at a time and making
Isn't it a
the
shame,
changes.
though, that an agency or a private business, whatever, has to outsource to a private company to figure out why your employees are calling in sick?
It is.
Just fire them for crying out loud.
It's a good point.
You got too many days out sick, you're gone.
Yeah, well, that's true, but at the same time, he's resolving it, but he's also trying to outsource the whole issue so that it can be
It's the
resolved.
problem with government bureaucusy.
That's the Family and
Oh, come
Medical
on.
Leave Act is a big part of this problem, brought to you by the Clintons. All right, when we come
What?
back, not Bush, Clintons, plural.
Beating everybody up to.
Okay, when we come back, we'll hit a couple of other local news highlights, and we'll talk that disastrous treaty with Iran. Stay with us.
Have a question or comment for the Georgia Gang? Visit their website at fox5atlanta.com.
Let me quickly encapsulate a couple of local news items before we move to that Senate deal with Iran. First of all, the DeKalb County Commission out of nowhere approved Robert James, the DA's request for a bunch of new investigators and appropriated the funds for it. We'll see what Robert James can do. And when will the feds act, and when will Mike Bowers issue his report in DeKalb County? In Cobb County, the commission voted 3-2 to approve a new budget which lowers property taxes and adds 40 policemen. I guess that's a victory for Tim Lee, the commission chairman there. But I want to really stress this, it's not a treaty, it's a deal with Iran that President Obama's made, and both Georgia senators have been very out front. David Perdue, 3 speeches in one day opposing the deal. Johnny Isakson called the deal appeasement. When did we last hear a word like that?
It's re-election time.
Well, no, I'd hearken back to Neville Chamberlain, but this is serious stuff. And the Senate Democrats refused to allow an up or down vote.
Which Barack Obama had promised to Congress. He said, we'll have a vote on this deal, and he lied again.
You can still have a vote.
He doesn't control
He lied
Congress. Congress controls the Congress, not the president.
The president said he would have
So does the
a
president
vote.
control the Congress?
Yes, Harry Reid and him. I know you don't know this.
No, I
but
know.
Harry
I'm saying,
Reid
but
and the president are like
the president of the
this.
United States starts
Yeah,
telling the
you
Congress
can't
what to
spin
do?
this one.
No, I'm just asking. When is the president of the United States of America?
You know, Harry Reid
dictates what
Did you hear what he
Congress
just
does?
said? Harry Reid and the Democrats blocked it.
That was
Well,
that was
Barack
done by the
Obama-
that was done by the
Congress.
Senate. Yeah.
Barack-
Barack,
about
you
senators.
know this, and you're spinning. Barack Obama could say, "Let's have the vote." And I'm proud of those 4 Democrat senators that resisted that pressure from the White House. It's a disgrace
Here's
what's
the good
going
news,
on.
though, Phil. You actually can still have a vote. I mean,
You're
it's not- yeah.
for this deal.
No, I am.
You're not for this
I am
deal?
correcting you on basically saying that it's President Obama's fault that the Senate
No, it's
Democrats
President
decided.
Obama's fault that
Yeah,
it's
I
a
mean,
bad
that's-
deal.
You know
Well,
this.
it's
There's
a bad
tremendous
deal.
pressure. Even the Democrat senators that oppose the deal say there's tremendous pressure from the Obama
But there are
White
also
House.
Republican senators who support.
We got to get out.
No, there's none.
And there's,
No, there's
none.
also the deal was not unilaterally done by the United States. There are several other countries involved in coming to this deal.
We've got to get out. We do have to mention, just for the record, though, that this was the week that Hillary Rodham Clinton apologized, sort of. Well, I'm sorry. Well, but it was right.
She was sorry for the confusion.
Yeah, the confusion.
Yeah.
Right,
she said-
and also the week that Donald Trump continued to soar by continuing to insult various and sundry people.
He went too far with Carly Fiorina, that's for sure. All right, when we come back, winners and losers.
Time now for the week's winners and losers.
I want to sneak this one in quickly. I had once scoffed at the notion that your Atlanta Braves might lose 100 games this season. I just laughed that off. Bad mistake. They're right on track. All right, Phil, what do you have?
I don't think we'll have a traffic problem at the new Braves Stadium if this keeps
They
up.
keep up, right?
Yeah.
I've got a winner though, and since we celebrated the anniversary of the terrible 9/11 attack, first responders everywhere. We don't give them enough praise. The police and fire, and you know, Mayor Reed, let's give the police and fire a raise in Atlanta, please. Anyhow, that's my please.
Drop the lawsuit.
My loser. I got a
Drop the
loser.
lawsuit.
Barack Obama and the Iran deal, and the courageous 4 Democrat senators that resisted pressure and did the right thing in the name of national security. We got to stop this deal.
All right, Alexis, what do you have?
Okay, I'm going to go maybe far afield to salute Venus and Serena Williams.
That's not far afield. That's
Well,
awesome.
They are so awesome, and the match that they played was amazing, and they're just tremendous champions, both of them, no matter what happens, because we are taping before the finals in the women's tennis. So I just...
But we want Serena to win so
We
that
do
she'll be
want
recognized as the
Serena.
greatest
Yes.
player ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Dikembe Mutombo staying in the sports field. He is
Stealing my stuff.
All right, sorry, but I want to salute him because he has been a great player on the court and off the court in the community. He is such a wonderful citizen of the world.
Georgetown graduate.
All right.
Always got to put that out front.
Very good.
All right, Darren.
I want to agree with Phil. I think that the first responders, the families, the brave men and women 14 years ago that has continued to stand tall with this horrific event that happened to our nation. So I definitely want to point that out. And also I want to say that the Georgia Bulldogs look good. And big shout out, and I think the Falcons are going to win on Monday. I'm going to make a bold prediction on television, but really excited that football is back and looking forward to Monday night.
Yeah, Monday night, it's Monday Night Football, the Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles here in
The Dome is gonna be rocking.
former Dome. Soon to be former Dome. Speaking of that Dome, Atlanta gets kudos for the SEC championship will be played in, as it is now, in the Dome, and then in the new Arthur Dome.
Mercedes-Benz Arthur Dome.
Arthur Dome. It'll be played there for how many years? A whole bunch of years,
Yeah.
20 years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And I have a little bit of a loser, Robert James. Now that the DeKalb DA has that additional staff and wherewithal, let's see if he gets serious about trying to clean up corruption in DeKalb, or just does halfway cases like Burl Ellis and some other minor cases. I think the burden is on that DA to deliver. And I think we're about out of time, right, Gwen? Yeah, all right. So we'll see you next week on the Georgia Gang.
The opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the panelists appearing in this program.